Okay, you guys, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a little girl. This little girl wasn't raised in church, but she went to many. You see, she was that kid that would show up in your children's ministry once, maybe twice, maybe a short season, and then you would never see her again. She would ride the big blue church bus that would come around and pick up kids on Sunday morning. She would go with her alcoholic uncle whenever he sobered up. She would go to VBS. She even entered into a charismatic Pentecostal church one time. No AIDS. She went to church camp one summer, and she was baptized in the swimming pool before going home, and then there was silence. Her family didn't believe. She didn't have anyone to mentor or disciple her, and she wouldn't walk into a church for another 7 years. See, we have so many kids just like this in our program. This little girl loved Jesus. She loved going to Sunday school. She knew that God had called her name, and she made a decision to follow him when she was sitting on her living room floor when she was just teeny tiny. She loved going to church. She loved the music. She loved the crafts and the games and the snacks and all the fun things. She just couldn't get to the church building. She didn't have godly examples in her life. And so she wouldn't come back to a church for another 7 years. She didn't own a Bible, let alone know how to read one. Through LifeWise Academy, other students that are just like this little girl, they get to come each week. They get to come each week and hear about how God created the heavens and the earth with intention and beauty. They get to hear about how he made his special creation, mankind, men and women, and how he made them in his image. And then he looked at everything and he said, "It is good." They get to learn about how, unfortunately, it didn't stay that way. That we broke God's law and we were separated from him. But out of God's steadfast love, he wouldn't leave us there. So he stepped through and he sent his son Jesus to live a perfect life for us, to die on a cross for our sin. Our kids get to hear about how they are no longer slaves to sin. They get to hear each week how they are forgiven when they believe and they call him Lord. The students that come to LifeWise Academy get to hear the life-changing message of the gospel of Jesus Christ every week, and all they have to do is go to school. Right? That's so exciting. They just have to show up to school. They don't have to find a ride, pay a price, ask for favors, or hope to be invited. They get to come each week because God made a way for them. They get to come each week because it's during school hours. They get to come each week because you and I are compelled by the gospel and have said yes to the mission before us. See, that little girl, she grew up to be a young woman lost in this world. But as you know, when you give your life to Jesus, no matter your age, you're his. So one day she would enter into a church again. She would love the music. She would love the teaching. She would find friends. But it wasn't until she went on a missions trip and she sat on the floor of a conference room in a hotel that she heard the gospel preached clear and true. And it totally wrecked her. She was devastated. She gave her life to Jesus once again. And laying down everything that she thought she had accumulated, what she gathered up was hope. What she had gathered up was forgiveness. What she had gained was family, a church family. Y'all, she even got a Bible and learned how to read it. So, looking back, it was the faithfulness of God that had chased her down and brought her home. Now, years later, at the age of 32, that little girl grew up, and now she is a teacher. And that teacher is passionate about teaching children who are just like her. Character-based Bible education during school hours. Guys, my name is Ashley Eubanks, and it is my privilege and my honor to lead these little ones, to teach them, to lead them to the God that changed my life forever. Thank you.